I own two Teslas, one for myself, one for my wife. I love the car. I'm not going to lie. I do. I love the cars. I really do. Elon Musk is a bit of an ass, but what can I say? The cars I drive are pretty good. And while Elon Musk has some other problems to deal with, coming out in some documents showing he may have visited certain islands doing certain things, he's also made the news for another reason today. Many of you know Christopher Nolan has a new movie coming out called The Odyssey, in which he's assembled, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say, a top 10 greatest cast ever assembled in a motion picture. I think 3, 4 Academy Award winners. I can't remember. I lost count of how many, but a lot of them in there. And apparently, according to Elon Musk, who is, of course, a world-renowned film expert, Christopher Nolan has lost his integrity. Why would he say that Christopher Nolan has lost integrity, as they would say on South Park? Well, because he had the audacity to cast Lupita Nyong'o as a beautiful woman. That's the problem. This comes to us from the folks at The Independent who wrote this. In response, a user on Musk's platform X wrote, Helen of Troy, who's going to be played by Lupita Nyong'o, was fair-skinned, blonde, and the face that launched 1,000 ships because she was so beautiful that men started a war over her. I will fight you in the streets over Lupita Nyong'o. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. Casting choices that make the premise incoherent are admissions that the story was never the point and an insult to the author, to which Elon Musk amplified on his social media platform and put in the response, Chris Nolan has lost his integrity. All right. Let's go over this because this reminds me a lot of the whining little bitches I saw complaining about the casting of the new Professor Snape in Harry Potter. Now, of course, in the Harry Potter books, the ethnicity of Snape has absolutely zero impact on the actual narrative of the story. The only thing about his ethnicity is it's mentioned in his description, but the description of his ethnicity never once comes into play into the story of Harry Potter. It never once comes up. Like, Snape could enter that sacred portal because he was, Caucasian. Caucasianist Arapidas and only Caucasianist Arapidas can walk through. No, it never comes up in the story at all, ever. And I found the immense hypocrisy, and we'll mention how this ties in, of course, to Odyssey in a second. The immense hypocrisy of people who would complain about that because, well, the guy they cast to play Snape doesn't match the description in the book. To which I'd say, okay, numbnuts, did you like Alan Rickman as Snape? Oh, Alan Rickman was awesome as Snape. Well, you do realize Alan Rickman was several decades, not several years, several decades older than the way he's described in the book. So how come you're all clutching your panties over the fact that, the color palette of his skin, the tone temperature of his skin is different than the way it's described in the book. Oh, but you're totally fine with him being several decades older. So just get your hypocrisy out of here. Anyway, that's the main thing. Now, again, if it came up that was actually relevant to the story, I get it. There are several characters in movies and fiction that I do believe their ethnicity and their appearance is directly tied in to the narrative. There are characters that are like that. Snape wasn't one of them. Now let's talk about Helen of Troy. It is true that in the Odyssey and in the writings of Homer, that Helen of Troy is described as fair-skinned. It's true. That's the way she's described. But does her fair skin ever become an important plot device of the story? The answer to that question is no. What is relevant to the story is the part of the description that she was the woman who launched 1,000 ships, that men were willing to go to war over her beauty. I submit this. Jonathan. I submit this. I submit this. I submit again, I will fight you in the streets. Men would go to war over Lupita Nyong'o. They would. That is the important part of the story. That's the narrative part. That's the part where it actually affects the story. The color temperature of her skin is not relevant to the story. Now, of course, I'm going to hear some hypocrites try to hide their hypocrisy by going, well, it's about historical accuracy then. It's about historical accuracy. You want to talk about historical accuracy when it comes to Helen of Troy? Quick pop quiz. Any of you know who her parents are? I'll bet 95% of the people watching this don't know who Helen of Troy's parents are.
Jane and Tom of Troy.
Helen of Troy's parents are the god Zeus, who came down to Earth, took on the form of a bird, then had sex with Helena's mother, who did not then have a baby,
Y'all having bird
but
sex?
rather she laid an egg. And then out of that egg came Helen of Troy.
Can't wait to see that in the movie.
Now, if you want to talk about historical accuracy, and your first question is, hey, why is she black? You've got to get your priorities straight. So, yeah, I mean, this is just idiotic, showing once again, you know what? I wouldn't even doubt if Elon Musk just kind of threw this out there to distract from the whole Epstein file thing, because he's in it a bunch. It's probably just put out there as a distraction by him, but it is one of the most inauthentic, hypocritical, nonsensical, trying to disguise my racism as anything other than what it really is, nonsense. The only important part of the story when it comes to appearances is that she's so beautiful that men were willing to go to war over her. And if you want to look me straight it's a subjective thing, admittedly, but if you want to look me straight in the face and say you don't find her that attractive, well, it's all subjective. Far be it from me. I'm a boringly heterosexual straight guy, but man, if she was a dude, I'd go gay. That's just me. That's just my thing. Guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of today's episode, PrizePicks. Well, the big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than with PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. With the football season coming to a close, this is your last chance to jump into football action before next year, and PrizePicks is making it easy by giving you $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. What I've always loved about PrizePicks is how simple it is. You're just picking more or less on player projections, building your lineup, and rooting at home while you watch the game. I also really like their early payouts feature. If a player gets off to a hot start, you can cash out before the game even ends. And with the new social feed, you can follow other players, copy lineups that you like, or use them as inspiration for your own. So don't miss out. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code CAMPEA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CAMPEA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Anyway, Rob, a little bit of controversy now over the casting of Academy Award-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o playing the role of Helen. What do you think?
Well, we have often mentioned, and I have said many times on this show, that I think Lupita Nyong'o is one of the most beautiful women walking planet Earth.
I agree. Male or female, she's one of the most attractive human beings in the world.
Yeah, and you know, because she comes, especially like, you know, in Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. I mean, she's an incredible screen presence, and more than that, she looks great on film. She has a really sort of effervescent quality about her. You know, it's so funny to me because I have to go back to my old chestnut of Shawshank Redemption. In Shawshank Redemption, the character of Red is an Irishman.
Yep.
He's a white dude. And in the movie, you know, Frank Darabont made the brilliant choice to cast Morgan Freeman in that role. And in the movie, Andy Dufresne says, "Why do they call you Red?" And Morgan Freeman says, "Maybe it's because I'm Irish."
Which is one of the best lines in the movie.
You know, and it's like, well, let's get this out of the way. No one has ever in their lives said, should have cast a white guy as Red in Shawshank Redemption because he was white in the book. No one's ever said that, ever. And it's about Does the actor that the director, with the aid of their casting director, cast to be in a particular role, does it work for the story? And if it does, and I would imagine it does in this case, because Christopher Nolan's pretty bang on when it comes to casting. The man doesn't miss. You look at his movies, has he ever missed in casting? I don't think so.
I would say
and,
no.
And it's like what's really driving me crazy about this is apparently, one, people haven't read Homer, and two, they haven't done a cursory Google search of the Odyssey or the Iliad. They don't even know. Like, I make jokes about how it's too bad they didn't bring Sean Bean back to play Odysseus. This is a sequel to Troy, and people are like, is it? I'm like, I just can't even. I mean,
Well, I think people are still raging over this guy's suit. This
yeah,
suit.
but I mean, it's, if you read it, like the historical accuracy of this, please.
Agamemnon's armor.
It's a myth. It's a story. It's a fantasy. Look, this was J.R.R. Tolkien writing about his version of Middle Earth, except his name was Homer, and it was thousands of years before Professor Tolkien wrote his book. And I just don't understand. It's so weird to me. I'm like, did people not read the Odyssey and the Iliad in high school? Because I had to. And I've loved this story.
Well, if they force them to read, though, they won't get a passing grade. So they stop forcing people to read.
Yeah, it just drives me. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's idiocy. I'll just call it for what it's idiocy. No. Now, let me take one half step back and go, because art is subjective. If you are somebody who, this would blow my mind, but it's fair, who you just legitimately don't think Lupita Nyong'o is that good of an actress, that's fair. That's fair. If you are just somebody who legitimately doesn't think Lupita Nyong'o is very attractive, again, that's a subjective thing. That's fair. And on the basis of the fact that you don't think Lupita Nyong'o is that good of an actress, and you don't think she's that attractive that she could play a character like Helen of Troy, I respect that. I will disagree, but I respect it because that's fair. But this whole thing is, she can't be her 'cause black. Then you're just an idiot. Sorry, not sorry. You're just an idiot at that point. So anyway, guys, and if that offends you, go away. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I was very heartbroken today to find out that Christopher Nolan doesn't have integrity. That because I was a big fan of his, but Elon Musk says so. Whatever you guys think about this whole charade, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.